It all started so simply, like the kind of love story you read in a book or see in a feel-good movie. We met at a friend's dinner party. He was charming, kind, and he had this calm way of making me feel safe. I wasn't even looking for anything serious at the time, but something about him made me want to try. And slowly, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could be real. We spent countless evenings talking for hours, making each other laugh and sharing dreams. He met my friends, my family, and fit right in. It felt so genuine. I remember thinking, finally, someone who gets me. I didn't see any red flags, no mixed signals. He was attentive, present, and always said the right things. It honestly felt like I had found someone I could build a future with. I let my guard down. I trusted him. I shared parts of myself I hadn't shared in years. That's the thing about emotional connection, it's powerful. And when you open up to someone who feels safe, it feels like home. I had no idea that the beginning would be the calm before the storm. Looking back now, I can see how easy it is to be swept up in the idea of something, rather than the reality of it. And at that moment, I truly believed we were on the same page. I believed I was enough, and that this was it. But sometimes, life doesn't warn you when it's about to change. Sometimes, betrayal starts with silence. At first, it was barely noticeable tiny things that I could have easily brushed off. He started replying to messages a little slower, claiming he was just busy with work. Calls ended sooner, and our conversations became shorter, quieter. But when you care about someone, you give them the benefit of the doubt. I told myself not to overthink it. Then came the changes in routine. He started going out more new co-workers. He said he became protective of his phone, often turning it face down or leaving the room to take certain calls. I didn't want to snoop. I didn't want to be that person. But deep down, something in my gut whispered that things weren't the same anymore. We used to talk about everything. Suddenly, there were long silences between each emotional gaps I didn't know how to fill. I would ask if everything was okay, and he'd smile and say, "Of course, just tired." But the warmth in his eyes started to fade. The way he looked at me changed. I remember one night vividly. We were watching our favorite show, something we always did together, and he barely looked up from his phone. I laughed at something on screen, turned to share the moment with him, and he wasn't there. Physically, yes, but emotionally, it felt like I was alone on that couch. It's strange how love can fade in silence, how the little things can pile up into something that feels like heartbreak. I still didn't know the truth, but my heart was already starting to mourn the connection we once had. There's a kind of stillness that comes before your world falls apart. It was a rainy Thursday, remember? Because the sky matched my mood. I wasn't looking for anything. I never thought I'd become the kind of person who checks someone's phone. But that day, he left it on the kitchen counter. Screen lit up, and a message preview caught my eye. My heart didn't race, it sank. The message was from someone I didn't know. It read, "Last night was everything." My hands trembled as I unlocked the phone, hoping desperately that I'd misunderstood. But what I found wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a string of messages, late-night calls, flirty jokes, emotional confessions, things that belonged in our relationship but were now being shared with someone else. He hadn't physically broken a boundary, at least not that I could see, but everything else was there. Intimacy, vulnerability, affection, all with another person. I felt my breath catch in my chest. That moment changed something inside me. It wasn't just about betrayal. It was about the lies. The emotional space he shared with someone else should have been ours, and I hadn't even seen it coming. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He said he didn't think it counted as cheating, that it was just someone he talked to. But when trust is broken, no matter how it's broken, I stood there, soaked in disbelief, trying to hold myself together while everything around me felt like it was unraveling. There's no manual for that kind of pain. It's the kind that sits deep in your chest and whispers that things will never feel the same again. It's strange how silence can be so loud after the confrontation. We sat in the same room, but it felt like we were worlds apart. I had so many questions, but the answers didn't matter anymore. The damage had been done. He kept saying he was sorry, that it was just emotional, that he never meant to hurt me. But I couldn't hear those words without feeling their weight. It wasn't just the messages. It was the weeks, maybe months of feeling like something was off, of second-guessing myself, of wondering why he felt distant, why our conversations had become shallow, why I didn't feel chosen anymore. I had blamed myself for all of it. And now I knew the truth. He had given parts of himself to someone else, pieces that were supposed to be mine. That night, I didn't cry in front of him. I think I'd already cried all those tears in the days leading up to this moment, without knowing why. I just sat there, numb, and said the words I never thought I would. I can't do this anymore. His eyes widened, and for the first time, I saw panic in his expression. Maybe he didn't think I would actually leave. Maybe he believed his mistake could be smoothed over, that I would forgive and forget. But it wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about punishing him. It was about finally choosing myself. That was the moment the switch flipped. The moment I realized that staying would mean constantly questioning my worth, my place, and his loyalty. And I deserved better than that. I packed a small bag that night. Not everything's just enough to get away and breathe. Sometimes you don't need closure. You just need space. Leaving was one thing, but the aftermath, that was something I wasn't prepared for. I moved in with my sister, temporarily. I thought I'd feel relief freedom, but instead, there was this ache I couldn't shake. Not because I missed him, but because I missed the version of us I thought was real. The home we were building, the plans we had made together. Mourning a relationship is a strange kind of grief. You're not just letting go of a person. You're letting go of a future you believed in. He texted a lot at first. Long, emotional paragraphs, apologies, promises, confessions. His side was a moment of weakness. That the emotional connection meant nothing, that he was just confused. But confusion doesn't justify betrayal. Weakness doesn't excuse hiding things from someone who loved you wholeheartedly. And then the blame started. He told mutual friends that I overreacted, that it wasn't like he actually did anything. Some of them reached out, asking if I was okay, but I could tell some were quietly judging me. It was just texts, they said. People make mistakes. But those texts broke something sacred. Trust isn't just about what someone does. It's also about what they're willing to do behind your back. Emotional betrayal can wound just as deeply as anything physical. Sometimes more. That isolation was hard. I started questioning myself. Was I being too harsh? Too rigid? But deep down, I knew I wasn't walking away because of one mistake. I was walking away because of what that mistake revealed, that I wasn't truly seen or valued in the way I deserved. That clarity became my anchor. Even when it hurt, even when I felt alone, I held on to it. Healing didn't happen all at once. It could me in quiet moments. Like when I took myself out for coffee and didn't check my phone every few minutes. Or when I started journaling at night, trying to untangle the chaos in my chest. There were days I felt strong and others where I couldn't just stop crying. But slowly, I was piecing myself back together. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn was that walking away from someone you love doesn't make you cold, it makes you courageous. I had loved him with every part of me, but love without honesty, without respect. Isn't love that safe to stay in? I started therapy. At first, I felt hesitant, embarrassed, but having someone to talk to without fear of judgment became a lifeline. I unpacked a lot. Why I had ignored small red flags. Why I wanted so badly to fix things, even when they were hurting me. It was hard to admit, but I realized I'd made excuses for behavior that chipped away at myself. During that process, I found new parts of my self-strengths I didn't know I had. I wasn't the broken version of myself he left behind. I was becoming whole again, on my own terms. The betrayal had hurt deeply. Yes, but it also gave me something unexpected. Clarity. I now knew what I would never accept again. I knew the kind of communication I deserved, the emotional safety I needed, and the value I carried whether someone else saw it or not. Healing didn't mean I forgot. It meant I forgave myself for staying too long, for loving too hard, and for finally choosing me. Looking back, I don't regret walking away. What I regret is how long I stayed quiet, how long I tried to carry the weight of someone else's lies on my shoulders, thinking love meant enduring pain in silence. It took losing that relationship to finally see that love should never require you to betray yourself. If you're watching this and you've been through something similar, or you're in the middle of it right now, I want you to know you're not weak for hurting. You're not dramatic for feeling betrayed, and you're absolutely not selfish for choosing peace over constant doubt. There's this strange guilt that creeps in after someone betrays us. We question everything: our worth, our judgment, our future. But the truth is, someone else's actions don't define your value. Your decision to rise above them does. I learned that truth matters, that protecting your peace isn't cruel, it's necessary, that healing doesn't come from pretending it didn't hurt, but from accepting that it did and still moving forward anyway. So, if you've ever had to walk away from someone you loved because they broke your trust, I hope you know it's okay. It's brave. You don't owe anyone silence to keep their image intact, especially if they didn't protect your heart. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to make a painful but necessary choice like this? Please share your story in the comments. Let's create a space where people feel safe, heard, and understood. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Moria. Real. Honest stories are coming in. I'd love to have you with me on this journey. You're not alone. You never were.